Welcome to Cuba, once more. A country that has had multiple historical events that shook the entire world. And right now, it may very well be going through yet another one. Cuba is experiencing its greatest crisis since the Communist Revolution. And I came here to show you how life currently is. But they're almost out of fuel. There's no electricity most of the time. Running out of water, and I'm running out of money, and that's a bit of a problem. The state of the trains here in Cuba during the crisis, the trains are not running anymore. I was kind of surprised that they even had trains in Cuba, but sugar industry back in the day. Perdón, una pregunta. ¿Los trenes en Cuba siguen andando o no?
Aquí cerrado no pasan.
¿Están cerrados todos? Buenas. But this is absolutely wild to see. Like, we're in the countryside outside of Santa Clara, in the middle of Cuba, and it looks like you took the Soviet Union and just dropped it in Cuba. Like, look at these commie blocks. Literally, commie blocks. It looks like they just threw a bunch of bricks together. Nice little communist playground. It's maybe seen better days. Even with the embargo, Cuba really was, I guess, a decent place to live up until the 90s. Again, with the Soviets giving so much aid to Castro, they were able to give the appearance of a normal life. And many of the old people here will probably tell you they had a guaranteed job. Their whole life was kind of guaranteed, and for many people, that's enough. ¿Cuándo fue la mejor época en este pueblo?
Eso no se sabe.
No se sabe. Está bien.
Yo tengo 55 años.
Ok.
Él es mayor.
Mayor.
Y pregúntale a él si ha tenido alguna época buena. No ha habido nunca una época buena. La pobre aquí nunca ha sido buena.
Nunca.
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 Nunca hemos sido mejorcito.
Sí.
En los años 80.
En los años 80.
Mejorcito.
¿Usted tiene cuántos años?
82.
82. Wow. Aquí la gente son graneros, ¿o qué hacen de trabajo?
Viven de su trabajo, yo campesino, él jubilado ya.
Ah.
Y todo el mundo, enfermera, la esposa mía enfermera, casi todos aquí son médicos, enfermeros, otros trabajan para afuera, para Cienfuegos.
Ah.
Todo el mundo trabaja, todo el mundo son trabajadores.
¿Y los que están afuera mandan dinero aquí o?
Cuando se puede.
Cuando se puede. Ah, ok. Man, what a feeling to be literally the only tourist in this entire city, especially in this entire region. I think the last time that happened was in Congo. What a trip that was. ¿Qué dijiste?
¿De dónde son?
Soy de los Estados Unidos.
¿De los Estados Unidos?
Sí.
Wow.
No hay muchos.
No, pocos. Sobre todo Europa,
Sí.
Canadá.
Me parece que no hay turistas.
No, ahora no, por el combustible.
Combustible.
No.
Cuesta mucho para llegar aquí.
Sí, cuesta mucho.
Yeah.
Everything is old. Old
Yeah.
street, old house.
Oh, you speak some English.
No.
Where'd you get your English from?
¿Ah?
¿Dónde aprendiste el inglés?
En la escuela.
En la escuela. Ah, bueno. Bueno, un gusto. Vamos a
Mucho gusto.
seguir caminando.
Mucho gusto.
A ver si nos vemos más tarde.
Okay.
Sí, hasta luego.
Hasta luego.
Sí. The friendly Cuban people. And I was told they weren't going to like us Americans in Cuba. Believe me, I've gotten the complete opposite reaction everywhere in the country. Uf, hace mucho calor. Necesito uno de esos. So we're here in Santa Clara, which is not only the revolutionary center of Cuba, it's also basically the center of Cuba, the transport center. Everything runs through here from west to east. Una pregunta, ¿aquí se limpia la basura todos los días? ¿Hasta los domingos? Ah, bueno.
Se recoge todo.
Ah, ok. ¿Y el gobierno te contrata? ¿O es como una empresa privada?
Una empresa.
Una empresa privada.
Sí.
Ah, interesante. ¿Te paga bien o no? ¿Ah, sí? ¿Puedo preguntar cuánto al mes?
15.000.
15,000 cada mes. Ah, bueno, están haciendo bien.
Sí.
Gracias por limpiar la ciudad para nosotros.
Igualmente.
Hasta luego. Imagine that. She said, that's a high-paying job. $15,000, that's roughly $25, $30 a month. And the crazy thing is, she's not lying. She's not lying. Like, the average Cuban might be making like $5 to $10 a month. Sí, vamos. All right.
Move your fat capitalist butt.
Yeah. Try it. Just, yeah. Americans are just too fat. Che, ¿cómo funciona esto? ¿Compraste este vehículo o cómo?
Lo compré.
¿Es el tuyo? Ah, ¿sos el dueño? ¿Y cuánto pagaste?
50 mil.
¿50,000? ¿Nada más? Interesante. So I'm going to take you to one of the most important places in all of revolutionary communist Cuba, the mausoleum of Che Guevara, the burial ground of Che Guevara. Yes, the man on all the t-shirts. A lot of people waiting. Because they're waiting for one of the only buses that pass by. How much you get?
Now we're broke as fuck. I have a 100 left for both of us.
Jesus. Alright. Probably gonna have to walk back into this. Money is a big problem in Cuba. Obviously, we can't use the ATMs. All the cash that you're gonna use, you have to bring into the country and then convert it, and you're often not getting a fair rate. Ay, gracias, Hasta luego.
Gracias.
At least we paid him well. Hola, una pregunta. ¿Che Guevara está enterrado aquí?
Sí,
¿Justo aquí?
ahí abajo, ¿no? Ahí donde están las matas, ahí abajo.
Ah, abajo.
Entran por atrás.
Ah,
Por atrás
gracias,
del museo.
There you go. Che Guevara, the most famous t-shirt possibly in the entire world. He is buried right here. Ah, dale.
Mira,
¿De dónde?
por la escalera.
Por la escalera. Ah, bueno.
Pero si quieren entrar al museo,
Sí,
de donde están las pertenencias de Che,
sí.
es por la parte de atrás, cogen por allí.
Vamos.
¿Sí?
Gracias.
Bueno,
Gracias.
Oh, that freaked me the fuck out. ¿Cómo se llama usted?
¿Eh?
¿Cómo se llama?
Brian.
Brian? Ok. Tomás, Simona. Un, dos. The eyes and ears of Cuba are always upon you. And here, just behind me, is the final resting place of Che Guevara. You have the phrase, perhaps the most famous communist phrase in the entire world, hasta la victoria siempre, which is what Che wrote in his farewell letter to Fidel Castro as he was leaving the Communist Party of Cuba to go and spread socialism and communism around the world. Che Guevara, one of the most interesting yet controversial figures in the entire world. Definitely the most famous communist in the Western Hemisphere. And the seller of many t-shirts. For those that don't know, Che Guevara was actually Argentinian. He was born in Argentina. He trained to be a doctor, and he linked up with Fidel Castro and his brother in Mexico as they prepared to take a boat back to Cuba and lead a revolution. Departing on a ferry called the Granma, Che and the Castros, along with only about 600 men, landed in Cuba, and initially Batista and the, I guess you could call the capitalist dictatorship, they kicked their asses. It took 3 years for Che and the Castros to finally rally the will of the people, rally them to their cause, and the crucial turning point in that struggle actually happened right here in Santa Clara. And here's a big banner that says, "It was a star that put you here." A communist star, surely. And right behind this big banner are a bunch of shacks. Buenas tardes. Che Guevara. Sí. ¿Fue un héroe? Sí. Sí, sí, sí. Bueno, un gusto. That would, I guess, be odd if you had the house right behind Che Guevara's mausoleum and you thought he sucked.
Hey, ¿qué tal?
¿Qué es este juego?
Voleibol.
¿Voleibol?
Ah, caramba. Vamos, vamos.
Estados Unidos y Cuba juntos.
Whoa!
Vamos, vamos.
Vamos. ¡Opa! Ok, tenemos que irnos.
Ah, bueno,
Sí,
un placer.
un gusto, un placer.
Nice to meet you.
Sí.
Oh, nice meeting you. What's your name?
Marvin.
Marvin, there we go.
Nice meeting you
Un
guys.
gusto, hasta luego.
He's betraying America, joining the national.
Communist forces, joining the communist volleyball team.
Caldosa cubana.
Look at that. ¿Es un caldo? Ah, bueno. Aquí está la cocina.
La caldosa aquí que es marina, que si la quieren tomar cuando esté.
Do you want the communist soup?
Absolutely, I'm down.
Son familia.
La familia.
Hey,
Un gusto. Tommy.
Tony, escucha, Tony.
Los Estados Unidos.
¿De qué lado?
New York.
Ah, Nueva York. Yo vivo en Kentucky.
¿Kentucky? ¿Vivís en Kentucky?
Jefferson, ¿eh?
¿En serio?
Ye-
¿Estás de viaje entonces?
Bien, 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 bien.
Wow.
No, estoy de viaje aquí no.
No le gustó y regresó.
No, sí me gustó, lo que no me gustó fue trabajar tanto para otro, ¿eh?
Ok.
¿Me entendiste más o menos?
Entendí, más o
Por
menos.
hora, salarios, paga renta, paga, vaya, así tú me entiendes, a ver.
Ah, bueno.
Trabajar mucho, pagar y queda poco dinero.
En los Estados Unidos. Es verdad. Sí. Gana mucho, pero gasta
entonces
mucho.
va a tener la basura, el agua, la corriente, calefacción, porque ahí arriba hay frío, igual que en Nueva York.
Sí.
Y es paga. ¿Y cuánto me queda? No me queda nada.
Sí. Muchos no saben.
Estas son horas extras, 2 trabajos.
Pero aquí gana poco y gasta poco.
Yo tengo carro mío y no pago nada por él, ya es mío ya.
Ah, bueno.
Ve, la casa es mía, no pago renta.
¿Sos taxista?
Mira,
Sí.
hacemos eso, mira.
Ah, bueno.
Paneles solares.
Motocicleta.
No,
Oh,
paneles solares.
panales. Ah, los panales.
Mira, man,
Ah, va.
los montamos y todo eso. Tenemos una brigada y hacemos todo ese trabajo.
Ah, qué bueno.
¿Ves?
¿Y con eso tenéis energía todo el día?
Sí, porque ponemos el inversor con las baterías y todo. Hacemos todo el trabajo completo, ¿ves?
I have only one question. Why are we all eating? Are we
I
like
was trying to figure that out also.
here?
That's pretty good, actually.
Hierba para caballo, hierba.
Lleva a caballo.
No te va a entender, hijo.
Vamos a caballo.
Mira,
¿Qué dice este
para
tipo?
follar.
No entiendo ni un carajo. ¿Qué está diciendo este tipo?
Para follar,
¿Va a follar? ¿Follar? ¿Coger? Bueno.
Que la base a ella.
¿Cómo se dice mujer en inglés?
Cambiar, canjear.
Oh, se va a cambiar en una cubana.
Tú por una cubana.
¿Quieren 4 cervezas más?
Sí, mira, el compañero la vende.
Las compro, en serio. Vamos. ¿Dónde está la tienda?
Déjame a la muchacha ahí.
Stay here.
No, está bien, vamos juntos a la tienda.
Deja a la muchacha ahí. Oigan.
Cálmate, señor, cálmate.
Oigan.
Cálmate.
No te la vamos a robar.
¿Qué querés
No te la vamos a
que
robar.
te la vende? ¿Cuánto?
No.
¿Cuánto querés?
No. Mira, mucho respeto.
Ah, sí. Estoy bromeando. Es una broma.
The best meal in Cuba.
Yep.
Here we go. Yeah. All right. Hola, sabroso. Estamos en Cuba.
Okay. Muchas gracias.
There we go.
Don't.
Chao, toma. Cuando vuelvan estamos aquí.
Sí.
Bye bye.
I'm not even joking. That was probably the best meal I've had in Cuba. I was a little nervous I was going to get food poisoning at first, and maybe we still will, but that was an amazing meal. We bought them beers. Friends forever. Almost sold her off.
You might get food poisoning in like an hour. You didn't give it enough time yet.
That's also true. Wow, why is it so cold all of a sudden? What is it, winter? And we just followed the portal to Argentina. Oh man. Look, I know you want to travel. And I know it can be a hassle sometimes. Nobody wants to go looking for a SIM card while you're groggy and you just flew 11 hours to Buenos Aires, of all places. Well, that's why I recommend that you get an eSIM. And no one is better for that than Nomad eSIM. Nomad saves you time at the airport. Your eSIM will be ready as soon as you land. The more you use Nomad, the more value you get. The more time you have to spend on your trip with your family, with your friends. So download the Nomad app and use the code NAMTOMMY to get more out of your next trip. You can go basically anywhere. Your eSIM will auto-switch to over 200 destinations. And don't worry, you won't get hit with any shock roaming fees when you get back home. With a hotspot, you can easily share your Wi-Fi with your laptop or with your friends. There's no need to pry open your phone and stick in a physical eSIM anymore. That's just annoying. You can also earn Nomad points with every eSIM that you use. Take those points and then put them towards a future trip. And you can get started on the Nomad app with the code NAMTOMMY. It's a quick, painless setup. Just pick a plan, install the eSIM, and activate. It's ready in minutes. Nomad eSIM has saved me so much time. I travel to so many countries, and it's so great to have the eSIM working as soon as I get there. So download Nomad eSIM off the App Store today and use my code NAMTOMMY to save 20% off your first eSIM. And here we have the site of the most important battle of the entire Cuban Revolution. Che Guevara and the Communist forces, they were greatly outnumbered, outarmed, so they had to use their creativity to beat Batista. Los Estados Unidos. Un gusto.
Yo lo voy a explicar ahora, espérese.
¿Trabajas aquí?
Sí, yo trabajo aquí.
Ah, bueno.
Espérese, yo lo voy a explicar, espérese. Vengan para acá. El problema es que estamos en...
This man is very excited to share the revolution with us. ¿Fue el tren que fue atacado? Este.
Acérquese. Le dicen... déjame explicarte.
Sí.
Esta plancha, dentro hay otra y dentro hay arena. En cuanto la bala llega aquí, se enfría y no pretende. Por eso le dicen el tren blindado. De Che Guevara en Bolivia.
Ah, bueno. But yeah, right here. This was the turning point of the entire Cuban Revolution. This was the battle. This was the battle. Afterwards, the communists defeated Batista. Batista fled. I believe he fled to Portugal, where he ended up living out his days. And the Castros and Che Guevara, they took over. They formed their communist socialist parties. ¿Cómo te llamas?
Luis.
Luis. Un gusto, Luis.
Mucho gusto.
Y Luis, ¿sos socialista o comunista?
No, yo no soy comunista, no me gusta el comunismo.
Bueno.
Lo respeto, pero no me gusta.
Entiendo.
Entonces, un librito en $5. Comprar medicamentos en serio.
Ahí está.
Oca. Ay,
Gracias.
se llevan una joya.
Sí.
Tengo el recuerdo en Estados Unidos. Acuérdense.
Es un recuerdo.
Es una joya, llévense una
Para
joya.
decirles a los gringos en los Estados Unidos.
Enseño.
Los capitalistas, voy a decirles.
Estamos sufriendo hasta el 28 que Trump termina.
Sí.
El 28.
Voy a hablar directamente con Trump.
Sí, seguro.
Cuando vuelva.
Seguro.
I'll bring this back to tell the capitalists what's up. I heard that Che Guevara actually lived in your country for a bit.
He was allegedly hiding there for a little bit before he went to Bolivia, maybe somewhere else in between.
Okay. Czechoslovakia was a member of the Warsaw Pact, an ally of the Soviet Union up until about 1989. Che Guevara ultimately met his end pretty young. His mission after the Cuban Revolution was to spread communism all around the world. He would go on to Congo, where he led an unsuccessful revolution, and then after resting in her country for a while, he went down to Bolivia, where the Bolivians eventually killed him. Here you have yet another lineup of Cubans waiting to get their salaries of about $2. maybe 3 if they're lucky. Government currently isn't paying their full salaries for the month. The central downtown areas of basically all Cuban cities are the prestige areas. This is kind of like what Cuba wants to present to the world. But then you wonder how it's going in the rest of the country. Well, today we're gonna go as far east as we can. We're gonna continue driving through Cuba. Alright, so here we have what appears to be a privately owned supermarket that's called Praga. Hola. ¿Los productos aquí son cubanos o internacionales? Internacionales. Ok.
¿De dónde es usted?
Soy de los Estados Unidos. Es interesante. So this is a supermarket that the average Cuban would never come to. The prices are actually in, imagine this, US dollars in Cuba. 310 USD for a bag of sugar. A local just told me something very interesting, which is that it'll, on these products, it'll say that it came from Spain or somewhere else, Europe, Western Europe. In fact, almost everything in the supermarket was made in Russia or China and shipped to Cuba. You can only pay in dollars in there. My dollars is back at the Airbnb. Sí, sí, todo está listo. ¿Es tu carro aquí?
Sí, ese es el carro.
Ah, bueno.
Yeah.
All right. Today's car looks like it's from the 1980s. Just literally realized there are no seatbelts in this entire car. Like they're not even attached. It's extremely striking the lack of cars on the road. It's also very striking in how poor condition the roads are. Probably hasn't been maintenance on the highways for months now. Like, as far as I can tell, the driver is not following any kind of like traffic laws here. Like, he's just drifting from the left lane to the right lane. Half the time this country doesn't even have electricity, yet you could still hear loud music blasting everywhere. They're still Latinos. Gotta have la fiesta. La fiesta sigue siempre. Hasta siempre la fiesta. Señor, una pregunta. Quería saber, ¿ustedes tienen electricidad ahora en este pueblo?
Ahora no hay.
No hay.
Hasta hace un ratico hubo.
En general, cada día tienen ¿cuántas horas de electricidad?
2 o 3 horas. 2 o 3 lo que están poniendo por la mañana cuando la ponen. A veces meten 2 o 3 días y no ponen nada.
So in these smaller towns of Cuba, just imagine 2 hours of electricity every day. Unless you have a generator, you're gonna have to turn the music off. That man is literally delivering a birthday cake in a horse and carriage. Oh. ¿Estás bien? Okay. Everything's just going to shit in this country. All right. Bathroom break finished. Hola, ¿hay un baño?
Una semana.
Está roto. ¿Hay petróleo?
Nada.
No hay nada. Okay. Bueno. There's nothing at the gas station. So the name of this town that we're passing through for a bathroom is, ironically, Florida. Welcome to Florida. Here's Jose Martin, the one Cuban that all Cubans like, even the ones that live in Florida. Soy de los Estados Unidos.
Soy cubano, pero adoro Estados Unidos.
Bueno, bienvenidos.
Tampa.
Bienvenidos. Estamos en Florida.
Un trago de ron.
Tenés que... dale. Cuban rum. Never thought it'd be African. All right.
Mira.
Es fuerte. ¿Cómo va la vida aquí en Florida?
Malo.
Malo.
Esto...
Corriente, no hay nada.
No hay nada. Mira.
Ay.
Mucho sufrimiento, mucho dolor. Hay que vivir. Y buscar.
Para pasar los momentos. Tienen que ir al Florida verdadero. El otro Florida. En los Estados Unidos.
Florida.
Hola, ellos tienen que ir al baño. ¿Hay un baño aquí?
Entonces el padre de la muchacha dice que él es el bicho. A ver si nos pone ahí, ¿no?
We're gonna get to use the secret government app. You can see the absolute state of government infrastructure here in Cuba. But it was very nice of them too. Let's use the bathroom. All right, onwards to the third biggest city of Cuba, Camagüey. So that was literally the last of my dollars and the euros I had left over from Italy. This Cuba trip might be coming to an end soon. All right, good morning, buenos dias from Camagüey. We are now in eastern Cuba. I feel like that's a bit less visited than western Cuba, being that it has Havana. And we're going to see how this is. It's the third biggest city of Cuba. It was very important in the colonial era. And I have about something like $40 left between me and Simona. So that's still way more than the average Cuban. Buenos días. ¿Qué es esto?
Café.
Café. ¿Y estos son las tazas?
Sí.
Bueno. Son un poco... bueno, a little dirty. ¿Y cuánto cuesta?
50.
50. Dale. Ok. Por favor. Es como un shot.
Aproveche.
¿Ese estadio normalmente es abierto o...?
No.
No.
Hay pelota ahora.
Ok. ¿Quién juega ahí?
Todos los equipos.
Todos los equipos de Cuba.
Porque la motorina no está ahí.
So this would be the big baseball stadium of Camagüey. Apparently it's normally open to the public, as most communist things should be. But it's closed for some reason. Got another big commie monument right here. Why do I get the impression that this city actually isn't that bad? ¿Cómo?
Hay que pagar cualquier cosa.
¿Tomar foto?
Hay que pagar.
¿Hay que pagar?
Sí.
¿En serio?
Sí.
¿Es la regla oficial?
Sí.
¿Cuánto?
No, usted quiera.
Lo que quiera.
Sí.
I think I'm bribing this guy. I think that's what he's saying. Come on. Alright. At least when you pay a bribe in Cuba, it's only about 5 cents. Now look at this. But hold on, this monument does look kind of Soviet-esque. Here's a quote from Fidel Castro. Ooh, as a matter of fact, this is not a communist monument. This is a monument to Jose Marti, the original revolutionary hero of Cuba. He led the revolution against the Spanish with the newer communist heroes like Mr. Castro up there and Che Guevara. In 1898, there was the Spanish-American War. After a ship was sunk off the coast of Cuba, the U.S. blamed it on Spain. No one actually knows for sure. And the U.S. and Spain went to war. The U.S. won the war very easily. They took control of Cuba, the Philippines, Puerto Rico, gave Spain $20 million. And Cuba's history took a turn. Instead of getting freedom to choose their own affairs, the U.S. became deeply, deeply entrenched in Cuban society. Eventually, up to something like 80% of the land would actually be held by foreign landowners, many of them American. And of course, nowadays, as it has been since the Communist Revolution, the U.S. is enemy number one in Cuba, by far. One of the biggest reasons why I wanted to come to Cuba right now is I thought this literally might be my last chance to see the Cuba that I grew up with, the Cuba that I grew up seeing in the news, the Cuba that everyone knows with the old Chevrolets from the 50s, people just getting vouchers to go buy food. Communist Cuba. We may be very close to the end. Hola, señora. ¿Se venden huevos aquí?
Huevo, picadillo de pollo.
Picadillo de pollo. Ok. Quiero comprar unos huevos.
¿A cuánto quieres?
Como 3.
¿Tres?
Sí. ¿Estás bien?
Bueno, bien, no estamos ya, estamos viejos. Yo tengo 60.
How old is she? Señora, perdón, ¿usted tiene cuántos años?
87.
87. Wow. Ha visto muchas cosas en Cuba, entonces.
Desde el principio.
Desde el principio, sí.
Desde el principio.
Hola, Estados Unidos.
Estados Unidos, ¿eh?
Sí, en la camisa. Gracias.
Sí.
Bueno. ¿Y cuánto cuesta?
150 pesos. 300.
300.
Son a 100.
Bueno.
A 50 pesos, a 50, a 50. A 50 pesos.
Witnessing the Cuban economy right in front of their eyes. Señora, ¿te acuerdas de la revolución cuando eso pasó?
De eso no me hablo. Y estudié en Carolina del Sur, en una escuela que había allí. De nuevo.
Estudió en Carolina del Sur. Wow.
3 años. Estudié economía.
¿Antes de los años 60?
Sí, en el 56.
56.
57 y 58.
Mira
En
vos.
58 yo quise venir a pasar las Navidades
Sí.
aquí. Y mi papá me dijo, no venga, esto está muy mal y te vas a complicar aquí en Cuba. Y de ahí para acá he pasado. Y aquí tengo.
Sí.
¿Qué lugar son?
Somos de Estados Unidos.
¿Pero de qué país? ¿De qué lugar? ¿De Miami?
Nueva York.
No.
Sí, sí. La ciudad grande.
Ahí tengo yo una prima en un hospital trabajando. Ella es americana.
¿Usted tiene mucha familia en los Estados Unidos?
Todas. Estoy yo sola. Ahora aquí tengo mis 2 hijos.
¿Y es su nieta que te ha...?
Nieta.
Ok. Bueno. Por lo menos hay alguien.
Sigues haciendo huelgas allá a favor
O sea, es socialista en los Estados Unidos, pero vino aquí
viene
y cambió la mente.
Bueno, no, todavía no la cambiamos, más o menos.
Más o menos.
Más o menos.
Bueno, señora, un gusto. Me tengo que ir.
Está bien, ya usted sabe dónde tiene que ir.
Espero que haya electricidad. Yeah. Muchas cosas aquí. Bueno, hasta luego. Chao. That woman is literally like a history textbook. Look at this building right here. You can tell by the numbers on the doors that this is actually a private residence now, but you could just see the old wealth of Cuba. Look at these like Greek, Roman columns. Cuba was wealthy before the revolution. It made its money, like many places in the Caribbean, off of sugar. ¿Cuánto cuesta? ¿Cuánto cuesta para subir? 100. Riding the town bus. ¿Qué tal? ¿Qué pasó?
Me caí de una escalera.
Wow. ¿Fuiste al hospital? ¿Cómo están los hospitales aquí ahora? Alright, time to pay the bus fare.
Ok.
Gracias. Me gusta el sombrero. Hasta luego. Cuba. Cuba. Here's another example of Cuba. I feel like I'm in a simulation walking around this country. After the Communist Revolution, one of Castro's fatal mistakes was he decided to continue to orient the entire Cuban economy towards sugar, just under a more socialist, Marxist-Leninist model. So everyone was meant to produce sugar. Cuba was to become the biggest sugar-producing nation in the world, and for a while they were. I believe they were exporting something like 40% of the world's sugar at its peak. But as time went on, the price plummeted, the Soviet aid ran out, and then Cuba had to turn to tourism. 25?
25 por 250.
No, mira, tengo 400, 500, 600, 700, 800. Tengo 1000, nada más.
1000 son 4.
1000 son 4, dame 4.
Cuéntalo después, belleza, adivinales.
Es difícil encontrar eso en los Estados Unidos, por eso compro. Gracias, ¿eh?
Cualquier cosa me ve por aquí.
Sí, sí, gracias. Hasta luego. Cuban cigar. Sadly, these are actually prohibited from being brought into the United States at the moment. So, I'm gonna have to smoke this before I go back. So this looks like it should be like a major shopping street. Shopping in Cuba. Bit of an oxymoron, but all the stores have signs like this up. Closed for repairs. Yeah. Or maybe closed because nobody has any goddamn money. I've been in Cuba long enough now to know that as soon as you see a mass gathering of people, it means they're waiting outside a bank to pick up their checks. Hay que esperar, ¿cuántos minutos? 3 horas.
Hola.
Ah, bueno, 200.
Hay gente de ayer todavía.
Ah, bueno. These people are waiting all day to get their meager salary of like $3, $5, $2. How did shopping work in communist Czechoslovakia? Was it like this?
I was told it was pretty fucking bad. A lot of items you could not get at all. So for things, certain things you would have to go to like Hungary and other countries and then smuggle it back to Czechoslovakia with you.
How did the government work? Like, will you put on like a waiting list for certain items?
I think for things like cars, yeah, you were on the waiting list for like possibly years. And if you were lucky, you were able to actually get a car, a really shitty car.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's kind of how Cuba works, even now. Es una tienda de ropa. Esta es una tienda de ropa. Tienda de todo. Another thing I've noticed in Cuba is you will just find these stores selling an extremely random assortment of things. Like here we go. We got like some hair bands. We got a watch over here, socks, book bag, and then just bras up there. And sunglasses. Again, Cuba. Another big crowd of people over here. ¿Qué están esperando aquí? ¿Para utilizar el teléfono? Ah, bueno. There you go. It's a very recent phenomenon that Cubans even have cell phones at all, but many would still have to go to a little shop like that to place a call. Oh my God, look at this. This is a pharmacy. Buenas tardes. ¿Tienen por casualidad aspirina? No. Gracias. They literally don't have any. The shelves are empty. Cuba, of course, used to be famous for having well-trained medical professionals sending doctors all over, famously to Venezuela. Nowadays, though, you get hurt, you get injured, you're gonna be in a bad place here. There's no supplies, the hospitals are closing, the pharmacies are a joke. ¿Quieres una foto? Sí, bueno, all right. They said they want a group photo. ¿Son tus hijos?
Sí, mis hijos.
Okay, bueno.
Los tres. Mi marido y mis hijos.
¿Es tu marido? La esposa. Okay, ¿es tu hijo?
Mi hijo y mi hijo.
¿Es tu
mi
primo?
Sí. Acaba de
¿Es
tirar
el
la foto.
presidente?
Sí, el presidente.
Presidente de Cuba.
Dale, tirarle la foto.
Ah, bueno, ya la tiré. Quieren dinero, ¿no?
Sí, dale, pero para más, son tres.
Son tres.
Neymar, espérate, 100 para ti, Miguelito.
Ok.
No,
De
esto no
nada,
sirve, esto
de
no
nada,
sirve.
de nada, de nada. Okay, well. If you decide to visit Cuba, good example of what not to do. If somebody comes up to you and says they want you to take a picture of them, they want money. Starting to get the feeling that the U.S. isn't so unpopular here in Cuba. Oh my God, there's a train. Señora, ¿de dónde salió ese tren?
Santiago, Tuna, vayamos, sigue por ir para allá.
No sabía que hay trenes, ¿no?
Sí, yo llegué en él, yo vengo de Matanza.
¿Es como una vez a la semana o algo así?
Cada 16 días.
16 días.
Cada 16 días pasa.
Wow, gracias. That's crazy. So, at this point in Cuba, the trains are still running, but once every 16 days. Just taking a quick walk through a Cuban train right now. We might have to hop off the train before it leaves.
Yeah.
So that's the inside of a Cuban train. It actually looked a little more modern than I was expecting. Una pregunta, ¿sabes quién construyeron estos trenes? ¿Los chinos? ¿Los rusos? Los chinos. Tiene sentido. ¿Y cuánto cuesta para ir a Santiago de Cuba, sabes?
120, 130.
130 para toda la ruta. Wow. Interesante. So he said you could basically take this train and cross the island for 130 Cuban pesos. That is literally like 15 cents. That's why the train is not running anymore, because obviously it's being propped up by the state and the state's got no money. Good Lord, it's a garbage truck. We're just seeing everything today. There's a train, there's a garbage truck. I think I saw a bus at some point. Oh wait, no, that was a horse and carriage. ¿Quiénes son ellos?
Mis niños, cuando eran pequeños.
Los niños, no. Es un capitán. So, something interesting is that the only thing I can book here in Cuba are Airbnbs. You can't find any hotels on like the hotel booking sites. That's like some kind of law the US put into place. Airbnbs, though, they're technically run by the Cuban people. Usually it's someone helping them from abroad and they have like a team going. But anyway, every time you come to one of these, they have to like report your name to the government. And currently she can't do it because there's no Wi-Fi. ¿Cuánto tiempo que no hay corriente?
Desde las 12 del día se cayó el sistema nacional.
Ah, bueno. ¿El ventilador funciona?
No hay electricidad.
Bueno. Oof, it is pretty hot in here. Well, this place only costs $20, so there's that. I don't know how many more nights of this I can take. Simona is here helping me with the check-in, and she's currently dying. Not very heat resistant. You would think I wouldn't be either. But,
I'm bullshit resistant, but I'm not heat resistant.
Yeah. Well, hang in there. You know, I'm starting to think. This idea just popped into my head that maybe one of the reasons like girls keep running away from me is instead of like taking them to the Bahamas or France, I keep taking them to like war zones or like slums or Cuba. I gotta think about this. Alright. Night has fallen in the Cuban city, suffering a blackout. Like every night in a Cuban city. Buenas noches. Only a precious few bars and restaurants around the city that actually have a generator. Watch, you have some lighting outside. Otherwise, the whole city of about 500,000 people is plunged into darkness, night after night. The Lucky Bar and Restaurant. Not feeling so lucky in Cuba. But maybe we'll be lucky here. Nope, the Lucky restaurant was unlucky. They're not making food anymore. They need to save on electricity. Generator electricity.
As that day ended, we realized that sadly we had no choice but to leave Cuba. And that's because we had literally no money left. Luckily, I discovered that very night that there was a weekly flight from Camagüey to Cancun, and it just happened to be the next day. So we needed to get to the airport with the few remaining dollars we had between us. And then our taxi immediately broke down.
Now we're having a true Cuban experience right here.
Taxis are not easy to find in Cuba. Very luckily, we somehow found another one on the street.
Alright, so out of money, I'm probably gonna miss the flight leaving the country.
We made it to the airport 20 minutes late.
Alright, buenos dias. From the airport, what a day it's been. The flight was delayed by 40 minutes, so still made the flight. Alright. It's a very interesting little airport. We're in Camagüey, third biggest city. Feels very retro. Here is the fancy Cuban airport restaurant. So what I'm thinking is, as we leave this country, and I'm not sure when I or you will ever come back, we gotta end it on a special note. So what can we do? Hola, señor. Bueno, ¿tienen bebidas alcohólicas? ¿Cerveza? ¿Puedo pedir una Cuba libre?
No, porque no tengo cola.
Ah, porque no te...
No tengo cola.
Si encuentro una cola, ¿se puede hacer?
Sí.
Okay. We gotta go find a cola.
No.
We have one last mission to complete. Let's find a Coke. Bueno. ¿Hay Coca? ¿Coca-Cola?
No.
¿No? ¿Qué trago tenés?
Malta. Malta, agua, Red Bull.
Malta es más o menos como Coca. Ah, bueno, una Malta entonces. We got a Cuban Coke. A very interesting fact is that here in the Cuban airport, they will only accept US dollars. You can only pay in US dollars, and they will give you change in US dollars. The U.S. and Cuba have a very complicated relationship. Es más o menos como coca, ¿no? Más o menos.
Similar.
Yeah. Looks like a Cuba Libre to me. Alright. ¿Y cuánto cuesta? Here's the last of our dollars. These are actually hers. Let's pay for this. Gracias. And here we are. And so, is that? Oh, crack in the glass there. And so, Cuba. Cuba. This has been one of the most complicated trips we've ever taken. But I have a feeling we'll be back. So, Cuba, until next time, whenever that is, I only have one thing to say. You want some Cuba Libre?
This is like, oh, it smells weird.
Yeah.
I don't have the manpower to fucking do this right now.
Just trying to share the freedom.
Cuba Libre, I paid for.
That's also true. I'm broke. I got no money left.